Hey guys, it's Amelia but not the pilot, just Amelia, and welcome to my yearly roundup. These are my favorite things of 2025. I'm gonna go through all different medias, starting with books. I'll do movies and TV shows as well, and then some podcasts at the end, and maybe a little music as well. So if you're only interested in the movies or you're only interested in the books, just please look down below because I've linked what timestamps each thing starts. Let's get into it. It is December 21st, so I have not finished the year yet. We still have about a week and a half left. Maybe my favorite book is still to come. But I already have a list of about 20 books that were so good this year and I can't stop thinking about. These are in really no particular order. I do have a favorite. We'll get to it at one point. I'm not going to tell you which one it is until we get there. So I'm just going to sort of go in chronological backwards order of when I read them is how I made my list. So that's what we're doing. To start is Starling House. I just finished reading Starling House, so you will be seeing the review of it in my December wrap-up video, but I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised by it. It's very spooky woods vibes. We've got a hot man. It's also a standalone, so we love that. I also loved Someone You Could Build a Nest In, which is also a standalone novel, sort of on the like younger, easier side to read, I feel like, but definitely an adult novel. So weird, such a weird book, but also fascinating. It made me think a lot about disabilities and autism as well, physical disabilities, but also autism, because the main character is very coded that way, but in a very interesting way that it forces you to think about that while you're reading it. The main character is like this big amorphous blob witch person with tentacles, and she's so weird and I love her, and it's sapphic, so that was really fun. Also like witchy medieval vibes. There's a theme here. I love a witchy medieval book. I also read Hot Wax, which is Emil Rio's newest book. It was so good. I can't stop thinking about it. It is about 80s music, being on the road as a band. Next is Alchemy of Secrets, which is the newest Stephanie Garber book. I love Stephanie Garber. I gobbled up all of her books last year. I will say my main complaint about this book is it's marketed as adult, but it is definitely young adult. They do kiss, but just once. And nothing about this book is adult. It's very young adult written, very simplistic, but it is very fantastical, so much fun, and I absolutely adored it. It is a new first book in a new trilogy that she has started. Very magical realism. It's set in like LA with this old Hollywood sort of magic system going on. Absolutely fascinating. I loved it. Also, yet again, as every Stephanie Garber book does, there's like 8 different men that she might end up with in the end, so that was fun. Wild Reverence is the newest Rebecca Ross book, and I loved it. I love every book that she's putting out so far, and this one is a standalone that's sort of related to the Divine Rivals duology, but it can be read as a standalone. I liked this, I think, the most out of all her books so far. It is very like Greek myth inspired, but she's made her own gods and mythology system. Next is Night in the Moth. I just love a medieval vibe. I love a lady knight, and this book had both. It has everything. I thought it was so fun. I thought the world building was so interesting. I loved the very simplistic, like, we have 5 places we're going to, these are the 5 steps. There's this vague romance going on, which was fine, but like I was really in it for the world building, which I thought was so delicious. Our main character is a diviner who divines the future by drowning every day, but she's been an orphan her whole life, and maybe she doesn't know everything about the church that there is. I just reviewed this in my most recent video, so if you'd like to go check that out. I will link it down below. Next, I have 2 memoirs for you. I read Careless People, which is a memoir by a whistleblower from Facebook, and absolutely horrible but fascinating story where she's telling all about Mark Zuckerberg, all of the crazy, horrible things, the choices that were made in this company to make it what it is today, but how she sort of helped sculpt it and was trying to help it be something more, but now it's become this big conglomerate that's like horrible to witness, and she no longer works there. I don't know how she was allowed to publish this book, but I found it fascinating. I also read As You Wish, which is the Carrie Elwes memoir about Princess Bride, and I thought it was so fun. If you like Princess Bride, if you like movies, this is definitely a good memoir to read. He goes into all these behind the scenes stories about his time working on Princess Bride, and I really enjoyed it. Now, perhaps it's my favorite book of the year. Second Death of Locke was so good. Unfortunately, it is the first of a trilogy, so we're gonna have to wait a couple years for the rest of them, but it is Knights. It is big fantastical adventure. It is very interesting world building. I really, really adored this book. I actually can't stop thinking about it. I thought the magic system was really interesting. There's Wells, who are people with magic, and then the mages who use magic but don't have it, so you have to be partnered, which I just thought was a delicious little interaction. Next, I have Lady Macbeth, which is an Ava Reid book. That's right, I was sort of obsessed with Ava Reid this year. If you haven't read her books, they're mostly all standalones and they're all really good. Yet again, this is another wet book, as I described them. Lady Macbeth is set in Scotland in the like medieval era, so it's not even called Scotland yet. I thought this book had really fascinating takes on gender, it had really fascinating takes on language and identity, and it's just a retelling of the Macbeth story by Shakespeare, yes, but also the history of the real people that inspired Macbeth, and I loved it. Another Ava Reid is Fable for the End of the World. If you like Hunger Games, you should read this book. It's basically Hunger Games 2.0. It's like I miss Hunger Games so much. What else should I read? Read this. It's sapphic, it's set in this dystopian world, it's sort of Appalachia vibes, of our main character has too much of a debt and is now going to be hunted for sport by one of the capital's angels, who are like plastic surgeried robot humans. It was great. I loved it. Next, we have The Listeners, which is Maggie Stiefvater's new book. I love her. This is an adult book, and I was a little worried that I wasn't going to like it because, I don't know, she's never written an adult book before that I know of. And I was interested to see if she's able to make that transition and if it would seem too young adult, similar to Stephanie Garber's book. I thought it was great. It's really interesting. It is definitely like historical fiction, adult novel. That is the vibe of it, but I thought it was such an interesting concept, and I love how Maggie like writes people, but also quirky little things happening in the town. I feel like she has such a good way of writing surroundings and like making the book feel like such a lived place, and so I really, really enjoyed it. It is about a hotel in Appalachia that is taken over by the government to house sort of house arrest prison some World War II diplomats that are in the US when World War II is happening. It's so interesting. You need to read it. Next up, I have Our Infinite Fates, which I feel like gets a lot of flack sometimes, and I feel like this is one of my like underrated books that I really enjoyed. I don't think it is for everyone. I do think it is very young adult, but I think it's such a fun concept, and I really loved it. This is by Laura Stevens. She has a bunch of books out, but this is the first one that I've read by her, and I really, really enjoyed it. The concept is that there's these two people who are infinitely in love with each other, and in each lifetime they will find each other again, and they will kill each other by the 18th year. And if that's not an interesting concept, I don't know what is. I just thought it was so fun. It is a bit like Tumblr-y, sort of corny, tropey, but I feel like that's the vibe. And I just thought it was a good time, and also such an interesting idea. I think I'm just sort of still obsessed with the idea of AUs. If you remember the Tumblr days, you know. So, yeah, I was enjoying the concept of like these two characters in all different AUs. Who are they in this world? And that was cute. This is also a bit of a controversial one. Captive Prince trilogy. This is originally published as like a webtoon book or something, like fanfic maybe, and then was traditionally published later on. Our main character is an indentured servant to the prince, but little does the prince know he is also a prince from a different country. I found the world building, like political drama, really interesting and like similar to Game of Thrones in my opinion, and it's very like Greco-Roman era type of things going on. It's gay. I thought it was great. Next, I have a few classics that were new to me this year. I really enjoyed the 1984 Audible audio play. I don't even know what to call it. It's like a shortened version of 1984. So if you haven't read 1984, I definitely recommend reading the like full version first maybe. But this was such a great audio play, and it's only maybe 3 hours long. I thought it was spectacular. It has Andrew Garfield in it, Cynthia Erivo, Andrew Scott, like some really great names. Unfortunately, it is an Audible exclusive, so my recommendation is to make one free trial and to listen to it with that, and then cancel your subscription. I also read Parable of the Sower, which I have been mispronouncing for probably about a full year. This is a classic dystopian set in America as the fall of America is happening, and it was really widely talked about at the beginning of this year because there's so many similarities to what happens in the story to what's currently happening in the States, which is just sort of insane to think about, that this author had the foresight to write this dystopian novel, probably maybe knowing what was gonna make, like, where we were headed, and now it's come to be truth. I think that's nuts. So I really enjoyed it. It's very interesting, but also horrifying. Next, I also want to add Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I think he just has such a great way of writing that, like, I don't like reading nonfiction books normally. I usually will, like, listen to them or things like that. But he makes his nonfiction interesting enough that I had a great time reading it. Also, fascinating subject, truly horrible that it's not talked about more. Every year, the highest killer in the world, the most thing that people die from is tuberculosis. And it's sort of insane that we've had a cure for it for ages and that it's been around for literally millennia and we still haven't fixed it. So it's really tragic, but he did a great job telling the story and I really recommend it. Then, of course, we have Sunrise on the Reaping, the new Suzanne Collins book. Of course, it was spectacular. Of course, it was great. Of course, I loved it. I can't stop thinking about it. I don't want to say anything else. When the movie comes out, it will destroy me. Some romance for you romance girls. I really liked Ali Hazelwood's Deep End. This is probably the only romance that I read this year that I actually liked. This is her take on light BDSM, I guess. It's a campus novel. It's got two characters. They have a good time. One's a swimmer and one is a diver on the school teams. I love a little school sports romance. Then at the beginning of the year, I read some really great books. I actually started January off, like, really well. And these are some sci-fi books. We have Ministry of Time, which fascinating. I don't even know where to start with it, but it was just really good. It's about this government worker who works in a secret sect of the government in the UK where they have figured out a way to pluck people out of time. So they've found all these people that were sort of lost to time, people who over the years have disappeared, and they have found them, plucked them, and brought them to today. And then they're doing this study to see if the people will survive okay, will they adapt to society maybe hundreds of years later, and what will come of this time travel. I just think it was a fascinating story. And then I also read This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is a short, sweet little book, sapphic. It's about these two people on the opposite sides of the time war. They're named Blue and Red, and what will happen? Do they hate each other? Do they love each other? Who knows? One more short book for you is One Among Crows by Veronica Roth. I will be honest, I didn't know Veronica Roth was still writing books after Divergent, but here she is, and my god, this book was so good. I can't wait to get my hands on the sequel. It is probably about 100 pages, which makes me so sad because the book was so fascinating. I read it all in one sitting and then was really upset it wasn't like a full book. It is set in Chicago, as her books always are, and it is about these different groups of, like, magical beings, and our main character is sort of like a paladin. I don't know, he's got a sword, he's vaguely religious, and he is slowly realizing things about how he was raised and what his goals are. Last but not least, I actually reread this book this year and I just feel like it was so good that I want to talk about it again. It's called Fable. It is a duology, maybe trilogy if you count the third one, and it's set on pirate vibes. It's pirate, age of sail, we're on the ocean doing piratey things, and I just think it's such a fun, like, YA book, and I feel like it's not talked about enough. But our main character, Fable, is abandoned on an island as a child, and she works her way up to escape by dredging, which is like diving underwater to find gems. I don't know if this is a real thing. I still haven't looked it up. So those are my favorite books of the year. I will be doing a book wrap-up, as always. Do not fret. It will be coming around January 1st. But let's get into some of my other favorite things. Next, let's go to movies. I am addicted to my Letterboxd. It's a confession I will make. This is probably the extent of what I will talk about movies on this channel, unless you guys want to hear more. But these are my top 20-ish movies that I saw this year. Some of them are new, some of them are just new to me, but I really liked all of these, and I would definitely recommend them. Starting with Weekend at Bernie's, which is what I've watched most recently, and boy was this crazy. This is a comedy from, like, the 90s, maybe 80s, and the whole concept is that these two young kids who work at this business on Wall Street in New York are invited by their boss to go to his beach house for the weekend, and when they show up, they find him dead. And then they proceed for the rest of the weekend to sort of puppet his body around because they don't know what to do and they don't want to be caught as the killer because they are not. It is the most insane physical comedy I've ever seen in a movie, and it just feels like one really long SNL bit, and it was just so funny. I really, really loved it. There is a sequel apparently. I don't know how they did that, like plot-wise, but it was great. I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. The next few I have are all sort of spooky Halloween vibes because I do 31 for 31, which is where you watch 31 Halloween movies in the month of October, one for each day. So I watched quite a few new ones as well as old ones, and these are some of my favorite new to me ones. The Love Witch. I don't know how to explain this movie, but I can't stop thinking about it. It's so weird, but feminism, maybe? Set in like a 70s vibe town, this girl is a witch and she is going around flirting with all the men and taking advantage of them. I loved it. It's so camp, but what I think was really cool about this movie is that it feels like it was filmed in the 70s. I think it's filmed on actual film, and the color of it is very 70s coloring, which color grading, which just, ooh, I miss it. I miss when movies looked like movies, you know? But also just the way it's acted and shot. I feel like there's like those long pauses that sometimes they have in older movies. Like, I loved it. I ate it up. So that was great. I also watched this movie called Your Monster, which is about this girl whose like life is completely falling apart, and then she finds out that there is a monster, her monster, that is living in her closet. And so she's slowly coming to terms with like learning to love him / love herself. It's great. I love it. It's so stupid. Next, I watched E.T. for the first time. I don't know how I've lived this long and have never seen it. I obviously know what it's about and culturally know all the quotes and things about it, but it was fun. I thought it was really good. I understand the hype now. So I guess this is me saying, if you too still have not seen E.T., do it. I saw the new Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro, and I did think it was great. It is so visually stunning. They just really put in the work, and you could tell. I thought the acting was great. My only complaint is that the movie ends, and the first thing on the screen is a Byron quote. Are you kidding me? Before it even says Mary Shelley's name. Makes me want to yak. Makes me feel physically ill. Also, it's not super accurate to the book, so if that's what you're going for, it's not. Here's another one that really is snagged in my mind and I will be thinking about forever. It's called I Saw the TV Glow. It's an A24 film about, it's just sort of like a huge trans allegory, I guess, but it's very 90s nostalgic core, especially for me because they filmed it in New Jersey and I was like, that looks so familiar. I don't know, it's not the best movie. I just felt like the pacing was really slow and weird, and overall the like plot and storyline doesn't feel complete to me, but I really liked it anyway. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, it's a fascinating concept. I just felt like it doesn't really make sense. Not that it needs to, but I feel like it could have been maybe edited or maybe worked on a little bit more. I Saw the TV Glow is about a kid at school who has no friends, but then finally makes a friend over liking a similar TV show, and then their friendship grows over this TV show that they love, but they realize that their lives start to mimic the TV show, and then they're slowly starting to think that maybe they are the TV show, and the lines start to blur. It's very weird, and I loved it. Next up, Jennifer's Body. I have indeed seen this one already, but I just can't stop thinking about how good of a movie it is. If you haven't seen it, it's probably one of my favorite movies at this point. Jennifer's Body is about Megan Fox being really hot and turning into a monster. And her best friend Needy, played by, what is her name? This girl. Megan Fox's character is sort of like the mean hot girl, and so it's sort of playing with this like female friendship type of thing, but also like female rage, and I love it. I sort of I wish there were like books like this. I sort of want to write a book about female rage being a monster. I think that'd be so fun. The last one from my spooky movies Halloween viewings is Love Lies Bleeding, which is the sapphic weightlifters movie that Kristen Stewart is in. I categorize it as this because it's sort of spooky. There's murder in it. It's also really weird. I don't know what else to say about it besides sapphic bodybuilders murder. Next, I have a romance for you romance girlies. This is The Wrong Paris. This came out this year. It has Miranda Cosgrove in it. It's so stupid, and I just think it's really fun. It's very camp. Miranda really wants to go to Paris. She's wanted to go to Paris her whole life, and so her sister, who is obsessed with this dating show, is like, you should try out for the dating show because they're going to Paris this year, and at least that'll get you there, and then you could go live in Paris. Because she doesn't have money to go there by herself, so she's gonna use the TV show to get there. Little does she know, she gets off the plane, and it's not Paris, France, it's Paris, Texas. Now she's stuck a mile down the road from where she lives, and she already knows the man that's in the TV show. It's sort of like Bachelor style, I guess. There's like one man and a bunch of girls, and he sort of likes her because he knows her already, and she's cowgirl core, and he is a cowboy. Then we obviously have the movie highlight of the year, K-pop Demon Hunters. It took the world by storm. I will not explain further. I love this movie. It was great. I watched it like 8 times the week it came out. This really spoke to my K-pop background, so I was obsessed. I also watched Anna Karenina for the first time this year. It's just a very stunningly beautiful movie. I really liked how they utilized this old theater. I think a lot of the movie is shot in this theater and they changed out backgrounds and things, which is so artsy and weird, and I just thought it was such an interesting choice. Also, Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it, and he's really hot, so... Another oldie but a goodie, Princess Bride. I consistently love this movie so much, and it is probably one of my most watched movies at this point. It's just such a great all-time movie. It's good for everybody. It's an action, it's a romance, it is a comedy. It's perfect. Another classic, Brother Bear. I don't know why I rediscovered this movie this year, but I just really like it. It's so pretty, it's so calm, it's so old Disney. This is another old one that y'all have probably seen already, but I haven't, okay? It's called Ocean's 11. I love a heist book, so I don't know why I haven't been watching more heist movies, but I really enjoyed this. I think it's so fun. I love the little teams they have. I love the heist, the drama of it, the way it goes wrong, but then it goes right. I will indeed be watching all the other Oceans movies. At the beginning of the year, I watched Flow, which I think won the Animated Movie Award last year. It is a completely silent movie. Well, there's sound effects, but there's no talking, about this little animated black cat in a forest where the water is slowly rising around the whole world. And it's so beautiful, peaceful, but also has a message without any words ever being spoken, which is what animation should be. And the fact that it's a full feature-length film, but there's no talking and sort of nothing happens sort of the whole time is just fascinating. Here's a movie I watched on an airplane. It's called Y2K. This is another A24 film. It's got Rachel Zegler in it. Also the guy from SNL. I can't remember his name right now, but it was great. I was very pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's basically about the Y2K crisis that everyone thought was going to happen, which is that when the millennia hit, people thought the computers were all just going to shut off, which obviously did not happen. But in this movie, the computers all take over and start becoming these crazy robots that kill people, and it's so stupid funny. I really recommend it. It was a great time. Next, I was having a great Tumblr girly year because the How to Train Your Dragon live action came out, and I thought it was great. I do have some criticisms about it, but overall, I feel like it was basically shot for shot the original, which is sort of what I wanted. I sort of feel like they shouldn't be making these live action movies because they're not great and they add nothing. However, I also think it's sort of fun when they create the same thing exactly. It's stupid, but it's fun. Next, I think this is my favorite movie of the year and maybe of all time. It's Sinners. It was so good. If you haven't seen it yet, it is the vampire movie that came out this year. Where do I even start? It's about racism in the South. There's so many layers to it. It's got music. The soundtrack was brilliant. I love when a movie utilizes soundtrack so perfectly, and it's also pretty. It is a bit gory though, so trigger warning for that, I guess. This is a documentary series. It's called When the Levee Broke. It is about the Hurricane Katrina complete catastrophe that happened in New Orleans in 2005. So it's now been 20 years exactly since it happened. It's just horrifying to think about, and it's just such a well shot and edited documentary series. I think it's 4 parts, so it's not just like one movie, but if you hadn't seen it, you need to watch it. Another sort of documentary style, but in a different note, was the Kneecap movie, which is about the Irish rap group named Kneecap who rap in Gaelic. It's so fun. It is fantastical. It's not their actual lives, but it's like loosely based on their lives, sort of. I thought it was so fun. I really liked how they used their music in the movie, and sort of made these like music video-esque things, but it's great. And it made me a fan, so I guess there's that. Next, I have 2 religious ones for you. Of course, I watched Conclave, and I thought it was crazy good, but also crazy that I watched it, and then like 3 days later the Pope died, so I knew exactly what was happening in the Conclave. Also, I love Stanley Tucci. No notes. And then I also watched Heretic, which is a horror movie. I don't usually watch horror movies, but this one, honestly, I thought it was sort of funny. It does get spooky at the end, and it's definitely more of a psychological horror, but it's about these 2 Mormon girls that go to this man's house, and he psychologically tortures and terrorizes them over their religion, which I just thought, there's a singular monologue in it where he talks about how religion is like Monopoly, and I loved it. It was great. Then I have 2 sort of comedy movies. This one is Please Don't Destroy. This is by the Please Don't Destroy boys from SNL. I thought it was actually surprisingly funny. It could have been bad, but I thought it was really good. It's basically them as their like sort of fake SNL characters on this adventure in the woods, and it is insane, and it reminded me of like a good 2000s comedy, and I loved it. And last but not least is My Old Ass, which has our girl Aubrey Plaza in it. It's very funny and very weird. It's about this girl who smokes a joint in the woods and somehow contacts her older self. So this is her as a teenager talking to her like 20-something-year-old self. So it's very emotional and interesting and like reflective. So I really liked that. Those are my movies of the year. Next, let's talk about some TV shows that I really enjoyed this year. This will be super fast. I don't watch that much TV. First off, I watched Arcane for the first time this year, and dude, blew my mind. I'm obsessed. It made me so sad, but also I want to watch it again. If you haven't heard of Arcane, it has, first off, spectacular soundtrack. Second off, is this really cool world building based on the League of Legends, but don't think about that. The characters are so interesting. It's a cast of characters. They all have really interesting plot lines. The like magic of it is sort of cool. It's loosely based off of the League of Legends. We're not talking about that. Moving on. And it was my everything for about like 4 months. Next, most recently, I'm really excited about the new Percy Jackson season 2, which so far has been really good. It's based on the Sea of Monsters book. It's more comedic than last season. I feel like last season was really missing that comedy element of Percy Jackson, which is so pivotal. I was so upset. And this season they brought that back, and I'm glad. They're doing a great job. I'm having a great time. It's been so cute and so fun. Then we gotta talk about Dropout. I love Dropout, and I feel like people do not talk about it enough, but my favorite shows this year are from Dropout. I love Make Some Noise. It is this comedy show where he pulls up different little prompts, and then he has different comedians, and the comedians compete to do the funniest noises or the funniest response to the prompt. Similarly is Game Changer, also has 3 competitors. They don't know what the game is, so they just start competing, and then they slowly try to figure out what it is. Each episode is more insane than the last one, and I just don't know how they keep topping themselves. Other highlights from the year from Dropout is Smarty Pants, which is basically like the PowerPoint night concept. If you recall from 2020, people are making silly, goofy PowerPoints. They basically made it into a show, but these are all trained improv comedians, and their ideas are absolutely insane and so funny. And then last but not least, I've been watching Cloudward Ho, which is their newest D&D campaign, Dimension 20, which is set in this sort of like steampunky vibe. It really reminds me of Up, because it's all about adventure, but also has this like flying steampunk vibe to it. That's been fascinating. I like Brennan Lee Mulligan is a fascinating storyteller. In the same vein of D&D, I've also been watching the Mighty Nine TV show, which is the animated version of the campaign from Critical Role. I have problems with Critical Role because I think their episodes are too long and not edited, and I don't have an attention span for it, but really want to consume the content. So I'm very glad that they make this TV show just for me. I am loving Mighty Nine. I think the characters are all so fun and interesting, and I'm really excited. I hope they make a bajillion seasons of the show, because this season just ended and it's not enough. I need more. In a comedy vein, I'm also loving SNL always. It is my favorite show. I watch it every Saturday that it is on, or rather I watch it on Sunday morning like everybody else does. And then I have a few old shows that I've been rewatching. I rewatched the entirety of Merlin this year. It still baffles me how good it is. Like, it's still, each episode is just like a fun little monster situation, and then like medieval vibes. Ooh, I love it so much. And the fact that it's like every episode is just like something bad happens and then like Merlin has to solve it with magic and Arthur can't find out. And that's every episode, and I don't understand how they did that for 6 seasons and it was still like good. I've also started watching Gilmore Girls. I've never seen it before and I don't know why, but I've started enjoying it. And I feel like it's very cozy fall vibes. I love like the mother-daughter relationship. I think it's very fun. And it's so cozy town, and I wish I lived in a cozy little town like that. I was also very excited that Phineas and Ferb had a new season this year. Absolutely thrilling for me. I remember watching Phineas and Ferb when it first came out. I like remember seeing it. It aired after High School Musical, and we watched the whole thing, and it was so great. And then I watched it for the rest of my life. I also watched Blood of My Blood, which is the new Outlander TV show, and I will say, I feel like the Outlander TV show for me, not great. I don't love it. I like season 1, and that's like sort of it. Same with the books. I like the first one, and that's sort of it. But the Blood of My Blood show has been really fun because it has just enough nods and stuff to the original series that it keeps you entertained and interested, but also this like new set of characters. I love how they interact, and so that's been really fun. And it's in Scotland, which is what I liked about the first series, to be quite honest. I will say I'm not quite sure if it's like easy to follow along if you're not familiar with the original show and characters, but I do like this show. It's basically following Claire and Jamie's parents in Scotland and how they meet and interact and whatever. So I've been having a great time with that. It's lots of drama. I also watched White Lotus for the first time this year. I don't know why it took me so long to watch this, but it was great. Season 1, spectacular. The Italy season, great. The new season, fine. But I'm still excited. I really want them to do a season in like a remote, cold location. Like, they keep going to tropical islands. What if they do like a wintry island? Like, I think that would be interesting. And then I have something to admit. I am indeed watching The Mormon Wives. I am not a reality TV show girly, but I just can't. I'm eating it up. I am so fascinated by Mormons. And I find this show absolutely insane because they all clearly hate each other. But somehow claim to be friends, and I think that's nuts, and I love to watch it. I feel bad for all of them, because it looks horrible being them. But I will indeed be watching all of the shows they're on now, including Dancing with the Stars and The Bachelorette. It's fine. And Vanderpump Villa, I guess that's what I'm watching now. I've also started to get into Survivor. I'm just really enjoying having weekly shows again. I sort of miss that era of TV, but I do hate that streaming services have basically just reinvented TV. It's stupid. Next, I'm going to do a quick run through of my favorite songs this year, really fast. I don't have much to say about them, just that I like them, and these are my music recommendations. The K-pop Demon Hunters album, New Moon album, Baby No Money. I really liked 2 It Boy and Check from this year, but I, in general, love his music. I think it's so fun. It has weird little noises. Chapel Roan, new music. The Arcane soundtrack, also spectacular. Chloe Amnett, she's the girl that writes like book talk music, and I really like Porch Light and Everyone Falls. Killin' It Girl by J-Hope. Being Basic by DJO. I don't know how to say his name, but I love all his albums. I really like The Beaches. I've been getting into Sleep Token this year, specifically The Summoning and Gethesmane. I really like the song called Automatic by Half-Life, which I found on Instagram Reels. Another Instagram Reels song that is constantly stuck in my head is Double Take by Edge Hill. It just scratches something in my brain, and the algorithm worked, I guess. Lucy Dacus in general. I love Ankles, Best Guess, and Night Shift. They're always stuck in my head. Someday by Unflirt. I actually saw her as an opener in concert and she was really great. And I really love the Tiny Habits album. Small Fools, which is like bardcore music. It's so delicious. I'm constantly listening to it. And last but not least, the Kingdom 2 soundtrack, which is a video game that's 8-bit. It's such a cute little game, but I really like how like whimsical forest noises the soundtrack is. Last but not least, I have some podcasts that I do want to recommend just to wrap things up, and some apps. I have recently switched from Spotify. We're no longer using her, and so now I'm using Pocket Casts for podcasts. This is not sponsored. This is just the one that I found that I think works best. I tried a few of them and I thought they were all sort of bad, but Pocket Casts I think is really well organized. It's free. There is like a premium version you could pay for if you want, but I think it works great. The only problem with it is it doesn't have videos, so if you're a video podcast girly, which in my head is not a podcast, this is not for you. I also have been starting to use Pagebound, which is a book tracker app. I think it's very prettily laid out. It uses no AI and it says it never will. And I like some of the elements that it has. It has this like book planner thing, which I think is cool. So you could plan out like, oh, next month I want to try to read these, and then the month after that I'm going to try to read these ones. It is a brand new app though, so it's just getting started. I think my favorite podcast of this year might be What Went Wrong. I haven't listened to every episode. It's definitely not like a weekly episode for me, but it is so interesting and I think it was such a fun find. It's all about movie making, and each episode they do a deep dive into one movie and talk about all the things that went wrong in the process of making it, all the things that could have happened, the people that they casted but then got rid of, the plots that they almost had, the soundtracks they almost had, the accidents on set, the behind the scenes thing. And I just think it's really fun. So far I've listened to Lord of the Rings episodes, Princess Bride, Emperor's New Groove, Shrek. Like, they have a wide variety of general classics, I guess you would say. Besides that, I am constantly listening to the Smosh Reddit stories because they make me feel like I'm a normal person, because the stories on there are absolutely insane. And they're very fun. So I've listened to that every week. I also listen to the Tripod, which is the Try Guys podcast, which is sadly ending this year, which is a bit of a bummer because that was sort of my main media that I consumed from them. I don't watch their channel that much anymore, unfortunately, but I did listen to the podcast every week, so I will be missing that, but I probably will just start listening to Miles's podcast every week, which is called Perfect Person, because it sort of has the same vibe. And I also listen to The Newest Olympian every week, which is an adult man reading Percy Jackson for the first time and like going through it and his ideas and thoughts about what's going to happen and experiencing it for the first time, which is so cute and fun and such a fun way to like reread the books. I've been like rereading with him. And that is all I have for you. So thank you for joining me in my favorites of 2025. Let me know down below if you like any of these same things, or if you have suggestions of things that you think I would like based on what I just said. Stay tuned for my 2025 book wrap up, as well as my 2026 book goals for the year. Thank you for watching. Bye!